Forza Horizon 4, it's over. And basically, I want to play the game, give you some details, and actually, I found myself playing this game more than Forza Horizon 5 recently. Look, first off, I want to praise Playground Games. They have done this in probably one of the best ways. There's a few problems with it still that I have, and of course I'm going to speak about that. But overall, they have done a much better job than the crew, which just disappeared. One day they were like, oh yeah, by the way, it's gone. So Forza Horizon 4 is shutting down for the usual reason. That is because the licenses are going to expire and the player base is dwindling compared to, well, what it once was. Its once peak. Fun facts, by the way. These are the stats of players on Steam, which again is a small percentage of the players. You can see at the top, it's bouncing to the point where it's actually, in the next couple of days, going to reach its all-time peak of players. Just before that, though, it was its all-times low. If you want to know exactly why, let me give you the quick and simple version, because it's the reason that all racing games get delisted. When you make a racing game, to get the cars in the game, you have to pay licenses, which is why GTA doesn't do it. Those contracts have a length, and when they expire, you have to renew, and it's the reason why all games get shut down. But the advantage here, well, Forza Horizon 4 is not an always online game. That means if you've bought the game, you get to keep it and you get to play it, unlike the crew. The unfortunate side, though, DLC cars are already being delisted from today. So I think some of the cars you'll just never be able to get, which is rather unfortunate. But before we go any further, I do want to say there is currently a sale on Steam for this game. There's actually only about 30 hours left of it, and there will be an Xbox sale July 16th. Playground Games let us know. Now, I just want to say, as someone that originally thought Forza Horizon 5 was just better than Forza Horizon 4 in a lot of ways, well, I still think that. But there's one significant thing that I keep jumping back to recently, and I cannot get away from it. The map is so much better. I don't even like the UK map. I think overall, at the time, I didn't love it. But being honest with myself, there is so much more flavor to this map than the Forza Horizon 5 map. There is no question. Edinburgh is amazing. To see the UK represented in this way, and all these like little tiny details around the map and stuff that just make it the UK is so sick. I wish there was more traffic and blah, 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 blah. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool because no other game series really does England other than the Getaway. And most of you won't even know what that is, probably. Now, the multiplayer will still work for a while. They don't say when they're going to shut it down, but it's safe to say that it's probably just going to break at some point and kind of work and not work, and then they won't fix it. The festival playlist, they're actually still updating this, by the way. I say updating it, they're not adding new cars, they're just kind of recycling stuff. But instead of like the Crew 2, where they automate the process, they are now just completely binning it. It's going to be just not work. It just won't work. Which they could have done a better job at that, in my opinion. They could have, you know, got it to cycle. Maybe they'll do that for Forza Horizon 5. So something to think about, actually, though, is Forza Horizon 5, when will that reach the same climax, if you will? Because Forza Horizon usually follows a bit of a pattern, and it's usually pretty good to look at it. And I will say, don't worry. Forza Horizon 5, clearly with Forza Horizon 6 not coming anytime soon, it's still popping off and it's still doing incredibly well. Forza Horizon 4 has literally been out, are you ready, for 6 years and 2 months. Oh, and 18 days. Can't forget the 18 days. 28th of September 2018 was the release date of the game, and the 15th of December 2024 is when the game will officially be delisted from the store. So, as I say, significant. It's like, what, 2,000 days? I know what you're thinking, though. If we look at that date, when will Forza Horizon 5 shut down here? Well, in line, that would be the 24th of January, 2028. So we've got a hell of a long time before that happens, and it may happen a little bit sooner, it may happen a little bit later, doesn't really matter. Quite frankly, it's not even worth worrying about, because I definitely think, well, just like this game, the game will work offline. There's not going to be an issue there. It is worth thinking about, though, that this Forza Horizon 5 is going to be more feature-rich than the next game. And that's going to be something that happens a lot with gaming, because games take longer to make and to even get to the level where they were before. But with the new graphical fidelity and the complication, the multiple platforms, there's a lot more work to be done for less reward. So Forza Horizon 5, when that does get delisted and the servers shut down, it might take Forza Horizon 6 a while to get to the point where Forza Horizon 5 was in terms of features. So I think there will be some annoyance there, but we're talking about the wrong game here. We're going way too far ahead. Now, one point I did want to make is that Forza Horizon 4 was the first Forza game to launch on Game Pass day one from memory. If not, it did launch on it very shortly after, because I definitely remember that being the case. And we've got to kind of thank Game Pass for keeping the game alive and keeping the amount of players refreshing and new players coming in constantly enough to allow the game to stay on the store for 6 years. For a Forza game, that's good going, because they used to delist the games after, what, like 2 years? So it by far had the best chance you could possibly have with a game. Maybe Forza Horizon 5 even more so, because it's across multiple platforms, new gen and old gen. But so far, it has had the best chance. But then my question becomes, so has something changed? Is there a cause for this other than the players kind of getting a bit lower than they can to sustain based on budget that they get from Microsoft, based on the players of the Game Pass game? But also, let's be real, I think it points to the fact that Forza Horizon 6 is quite close. To have 3 Forza Horizon games on Game Pass at once would be insane, and I don't think Microsoft would want to do that, because, as I said, I really do think it's gonna be less feature rich from Go than Forza Horizon 4, and definitely than Forza Horizon 5. I'm not saying that is a terrible thing, because it does give them chance to go back and refresh and redo some things that they may have, in my opinion, completely f***ed up in the past. I'll give them applause. Like, 6 years is really good. Now, this is the part where I'm going to start hating on the car manufacturers, because once again, I think you guys are disgusting, old, stupid baboons. I don't like the car industry very much. And, hey, what's that? Big, heavy SUV? Is that what you want? Yeah. Listen, I thought with gaming being so influential to people's purchases, I mean, look at Fortnite. Is insane how obsessed everyone with everything everyone is when they drop something. Kids get bullied for not knowing what something is in Fortnite, which it just doesn't make sense. Why should these little kids know about bloody Family Guy and stuff? Your kid, what the freak? But the fact of the matter is, games have huge pull, and I think going forward a lot more games are going to have these huge pulls to inspire people on their purchases, their likes, their loves, their wants. And cars are always a point of, well, why the hell are they not pushing for the fact that this kind of inspires people's purchases in the future, people's loves for certain brands and things? And I think in a more significant way than sports or anything these days. Because ultimately, just like a lot of us grew up loving Fast and Furious cars, a lot of people maybe look up to car content creators in the same way, and the cars that they love and like, and it inspires a whole generation to buy the next GTR or the next Supra. The Supra popped off for, well, obviously because of Fast and Furious, but the amount of content and stuff that came out from YouTubers and stuff has clearly inspired many more people to purchase Supras and modify them and things like that. One of the best things about this game is when you get into like the small little towns and villages and stuff. This is so sick. This gives you a proper scale. This, by the way, is still wider than some of our two-way roads that you get in the back roads. That's definitely one of my complaints, is that they didn't give the UK the tiny roads that it deserves. Show us tiny roads, please and thank you. But like this is sick. The small areas, you almost feel like any smaller and the scale just wouldn't make sense. But this is fact. I do feel like these little cottages, though, the player characters just wouldn't be able to get through the door. And this is a big garage in the UK. This is huge. There's no way there would be a garage this big just parked randomly. That's basically a triple car garage in the UK. Look at the length of it. It's like fantastic. Again, it's not really time to say goodbye to Forza Horizon 4. You can still play it, but it's getting close. In December, it's going to fly around. We're already halfway through the year, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I've been thinking maybe we should play some Forza Horizon 4 before it shuts down. Make some memories before the end. I think that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching, and check out these and let me know in the comments. Are you sad? You kind of expected it? Lasted longer than you thought? Let me know.